Energy and Commerce Committee member Michael Burgess. Congressman, great to see you always. Watching President Biden on Friday, he actually used Putin in his talking points again, talking about Putin's price hike and Putin's tax. And why can't this man get behind our energy industry, our energy sector, and just come in and say, I'm getting out of the way, we're lifting all restrictions? Instead, he chose to vilify ExxonMobil on Friday.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on, Dagan. It's that vilification that I think is really one of the worst aspects of this administration. Very, very difficult business to be in right now. That is the production of oil and gas. It is capital intensive, and at the same time, you have the talk from the administration scaring away the access to capital for these companies. And anytime that they do. They do turn around and show a little bit of a profit. Remember, 2 years ago, they were in tough shape, but now they're showing a little bit of a profit. And instead of being grateful that these companies are strong and able to provide us energy, they turn around and come under attack. But it is the constant language that's coming out of Washington that just makes it very, very difficult for these companies to access capital in the current markets.
The less the White House is willing to do to fight inflation, and whether that's getting behind our energy sector, or there's still stimulus payments going out to people with college loans. There's a moratorium on making loan payments until the end of August. That's a handout to the wealthy. And then you've got Chuck Schumer and all his idiocy talking about trying to sidle up to Joe Manchin and cobble together like another spending plan with elements of Build Back Better. The less the White House is going to do about inflation, the more the burden falls on the Federal Reserve. And that is likely to cause a market calamity and an asset collapse, which you're seeing today.
And coupled with that, of course, the Federal Reserve, not blameless a year ago. They were insensitive to the fact that they had a problem. And so now the catch-up that they are going to be required to do makes it even more painful. And, you know, look, regular Americans get this. They look around and see what's coming. They hear every economic forecaster from Jamie Dimon to Kim.com saying that there's going to be a recession. And what is Congress doing? Congress is right now trying to see what we can do about limiting the constitutional rights of Americans to have protection for themselves. People don't get it. They don't get why our priorities are so misplaced.
Well, speaking of Americans' priorities versus those of people in the White House, a federal judge striking down the Biden administration's restrictions on ICE, immigration and customs enforcement, which will dramatically limit the number of migrants that the agency can arrest and deport. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas issuing a memo in September telling ICE agents to focus on recent border crossers and threats to national security and public safety. Mayorkas saying that the restrictions would mean that being in the country illegally was not enough to be deported or arrested. Congressman Burgess, you visited the southern border just earlier this month, a few days ago. Your thoughts on this?
Well, look, Secretary Mayorkas, some days you wonder, is he truly incompetent or is he trying to harm the country? I mean, this type of rhetoric coming from him only serves to make the problem worse, because the cartels and the transnational gangs are able to monetize his words and say, if we can get you across the border now, you'd better do it now or you may lose your chance. Secretary Mayorkas does not have the right, in and of himself at the agency level, to change law. That's up to Congress, and we didn't change it. So he needs to enforce the law as it exists. And I'll tell you, Megan, what's just criminal and what's heartbreaking is to see all that fence material rusting on the ground while we recognize we've got a fentanyl problem in this country that is just killing people, and that's where our focus ought to be.
Indeed. Congressman Michael Burgess, thank you so much for being here this morning.